It's important, I think, for us to continue to do this work even when those limitations are in place, because you can't postpone that type of priority until later from now,
Oh,
a year
absolutely.
from now. You need to continue to work on those right now. So I applaud you for adapting and making it happen. What are some challenges do you think others in the roles like yourself and myself, trainers and consultants who are doing equity work, training, and development of other people, what might you advise to them in terms of that field of racial equity and diversity and inclusion work?
Well, I remember when I sat through equity, diversity workshops, I used to grind my teeth because I always felt that they weren't bold enough. And I felt that it really didn't address the systemic issue. And that's not knocking or not saying that the practitioners weren't very well educated and very effective. It's just, I could just tell sitting around the room that the people who got it already sort of knew it, but the people who didn't, I didn't feel we were doing a good job. So the number one thing that I would tell consultants and companies and organizations, and that is, number one, do a thorough, objective, credible assessment through your own individual. Find out who you are as an individual. Find out who your blind spots are. And there are some proprietary tools out there that can help you understand, particularly in the DEI space, where your blind spots are, where your weaknesses are. And so that can be very helpful in developing yourself. Secondly, your team, needing to get feedback from your team, understanding how your team views you, and taking a look at that feedback. And then finally, an organizational assessment. And so you triangulate all of that information, and what it will do is give you a composite in terms of where you're at as an organization, as an individual, and there's individual plans that can be developed for each of that. So from a DEI program, number one, doing the assessments and good understanding there. The second thing is to do an external analysis, and that's really on the industry, the community, the politics, and the workforce that you're going to need. Third, you need to do a cross-current DEI historical analysis. This went over very, very huge with the C-suite the other day. And what we did is we laid out a 401-year journey. And one of the things that it made very clear, you can't talk about race and gender without including technology, the labor unions, and most importantly, wealth and class. And so we had those currents, and we had all of the timetables. And once you look at DEI and its roots, and you see the timetables and the dates all the way from the 14th century, the 16th century, to the 1800s, to the emancipation, and you follow that to the assassination of Lincoln, and you look at all of that, and you look at the inventions, you look at the time when the unions first got started, you look at the time when the Klan got started, you look at what's happening with wealth and class, and you sit back and say, oh, now I get it. And then finally, the fourth thing is we need to stop tolerating racist behavior at home, in public, in our churches, wherever it is. We need to take a stand. And we need to bring people in. We don't need to bombard them, but we need to say, that's not correct. And where are you getting your information? Why are you responding that way to that? And then finally, we need to remain civil. And as I say, civility is a lubricant of a civilized society. And that doesn't mean that you don't go out and protest. It doesn't mean that things won't get broken occasionally. But it means that we got to come back to being civil, because that is the lubricant, right, of a civilized society. And so that's what I would tell them.